Jockey, 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 jockey. Sweet, sweet, was like the way you are. Yep, yep. All right, man, we ain't gonna take no time. We're gonna get in quick, fast, and hurry. Once again, welcome to the full 180. That's right, man. I'm yours truly, part of the cast, part of the team, none other than DJ TRWKY, man. Look, that's how we gonna get down. Look, wherever you are, now if you're driving, keep your eyes open. Wherever you are, we're gonna get right into it. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you right now, Lord, we ask you to be the guide and lift in this show. Somebody may be going through what we are talking about today. It may be a little hard, but I want you to take your finger, as you always do, prick the strands of our hair, the little bitty strands, so we can obtain the wisdom to articulate and make sure that we get through the content with the great context of what we're trying to help someone else on the other side of this camera. Lord, we ask you to forgive us of our sins, those that knowingly and unknowingly have committed. Continue to keep us on the path that you created for us before we ever became uh, a figment in our mom's womb. And we will always, no matter what we do, always give you the glory, the honor, and the praise for everything we do in this thing that we call life, that you have truly blessed us with. We ask all these things in your daughter and son's name. We pray. Amen. Let's keep cracking. It's time for Yep, it's time for the full 180. What is going on, my people? Hope you had a great Monday at work. If you didn't, we're gonna make it better right now. Why? Because you're listening to the best, the one and only that gives you raw and uncut and give you content and context with the same, the full 180. That's right. That's where we take you out your 360 and make you look at it from another point of view. Change the game. Never look at the glass half full, half empty. Look at it as empty. And how can you fill it back up? And this is what we do right here on the 180. Of course, the cast is here. D. Lewis is here. JJ is here. Lil Webby is in the building. Look, man, we are having definitely, and we're going to have a real in-depth show. So I don't want to waste any time. What's up to all my people? First of all, shout out to the 56th annual of the Brothers of A5A Incorporated. 1906. We painted the city black, man. Black and gold all weekend long, man. Appreciate all the brothers who came out. Older, the profiles, the neos. It was a great time just sitting around and fellowshipping and having conversations. So, man, we look forward to do it again on another scale, bigger and better than 57 years. Not only that, man, let me run through what I got to tell you. So, right here, if you want to, you can actually scan this barcode, take you straight to the screen where the show is being broadcast on YouTube. Make sure you share it with all your friends. All the individuals, make sure you subscribe. If you ever want to be sowing a seed to the show, you can also do that by doing it on a cash app, $MASON 410. Those proceeds, I promise you, will go towards the live show. Our AD, and I already have a budget for it, so I just need to ask, we need to get with our boy this weekend if you got time, or if you'll be in town. But we'll talk about that on air, bro. Again, if you are visiting the first time or being on the show for the first time, we thank you for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because you can be anywhere else, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that. AKA Jay-Z, appreciate that comment, bro. Russell Simmons would say, thank you for coming. God bless the night. But yes, man, thank you for all our visitors. Make sure you share it. Make sure you share it with whomever. So a couple things I need to get into before we get into the show, right? It has been this crap. Look, wait, you hear me?
You sound a little muffled.
Oh, you can't. Oh, I can't hear you.
I can hear you, but you sound muffled, or like there's some feedback going on.
I'm sorry.
You good? I can't hear you.
You can't hear me at all?
Now I can hear you.
Okay, cool. My bad, y'all. So I lost my headphone. That's a long story. Mama, they coming back. Don't worry about it. But have to get into this new craze, and I'm gonna let Lil Webby talk about it. But Lil Webby, when I tell you, my T-Zone has been tripping about this Monopoly game that is on y'all phone. I mean, they playing Monopoly like you really got to get $30 million or $15, or I mean, and I there you go, right there, y'all. Yes, y'all think I'm playing. I mean, they are playing Monopoly, bro, shutting people down. The motto is friends don't shut friends down. I'm like, what? Look, the Monopoly has been broken homes. If you've been a college student, you done had a fight, something. So wait, it don't get this game.
Look, what had happened was one of my homegirls sent me the invite for Monopoly Go. And I was like, cool, I ain't played a game since Candy Crush many moons ago. Shh, man. Don't judge me. Like, I'm on level 5, I think. So I'm gonna get my life together right before school starts. I promise you I am, so I can go and collect. But yeah, I got like $500,000 in here already so I can buy these properties. Don't judge me again. I'll be up to like 4 o'clock in the morning playing Monopoly Go.
D, we gonna have teachers at school can't teach. Hold on, I got. Let me get my rolls back. I'm teaching hard English. They gotta play Monopoly.
It's the same but different. So like when you go to jail, the level I'm on to get out is like $18,000, and traditionally jail is like $200, and then like to pass go, like the level I'm on is like I think might be $3,500 when you pass go instead of your little funky $200 that you get. So I'm here for all of it.
Oh my God! So look, man, you ain't playing. I guess you need to find you something to do. Some say Monopoly is it. Appreciate the insight. I just be tripping. No, I just be like, yep. I mean, getting excited. But anyway, let's keep it moving. Look, man, I got 2 more motion quotes for you today. 1, stop dating new partners for clarity. If you still love your ex, go back to him. If you still hurt, heal first, then date. You don't date somebody to find closure. Rest your own rest. You won't rush. Do not use somebody's heart trying to heal your wounds. Heal first, move on mentally first, then date somebody, be considered. Second one is, some people are attracted to your light, but aren't equipped to exist alongside it. They literally get drowned out by it. So their hurtful actions are actually survival tactics. They're fighting for their light to exist amongst yours. I ain't gotta say nothing. That says enough, man. If you fighting to exist along my light, we supposed to shine together, baby. Look at J and D. They making money together. We supposed to be getting this bag together. But if you trying to outshine me, we in the wrong situation. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. Back to school. You teachers, it's over. We've reached
Don't be counting down my days.
We reached the end of the road, as boys and men to say. So it's that time, man. August 2nd, teachers, we all report. August 14th, your kids will be back at the school. I guess y'all grocery bill will go down, the light bill will be straight, the whole 9. So with that being said, man, nothing other than get your kids ready to go back to school. Do it with my man, my ace, my boy. Love this brother to life. The inaugural Hits Legacy Back to School Bash, August 5th, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. That's right, funky time for work. Your boy coming home. We right there live, right in front of the William Chicken. We got backpacks, kids, school supplies, tablets, phones. Enjoy face painting, bounce houses, and much, much more. You can register at hits back to school .eventbrite.com. If I'm not mistaken, it has been sold out. He was taking 450 people, and I think he's already reached the max. But if nothing else said, make sure you come out, come hang out with us, man. We're gonna have a fun festive time. Ladies, get ready for it. It's time for the HBCU Scholarship Dance Off. Get in there, right live at UTA, the Maverick City Center. 500 West Needleman Drive. Arlington, Texas. Stores open up at 10. If you have not signed up as a team, you need to get in where you fit in. It is $20 access, $100 for each team registration. Shout out to my girl, Miss Jennifer Mouton. If I said that wrong, Jennifer, I'm sorry. The king know what it is. It's basically, if you ever seen the DD4L type of stuff, type of dance show, that's exactly what it is, man. This is for definitely a grand prize, a good cause. She does this once a year. This is the third one. So I've been blessed to be a part of one. So this is the second one. So I'm looking forward towards this as well. Teachers, man, we doing it tomorrow night. Back to school days, teacher edition karaoke and open mic, hosted by none other than Dallas Poetry Slam. Our CEO, Miss Candy, your boy will be on the ones and twos, keeping the teacher vibe going on, man. We live at Twisted Bar and Grill out there in the colony. Make sure you get in where you fit in. It is free to get in, not anything else. Just come in, come as you are. Plenty of food, plenty of drinks, however you want to talk about. We call libations, you can handle that too. Every third Thursday, there's a networking and cocktail hour. This is hosted by none other than Dr. B's own mother, Miss Melinda Smith. It goes down every third Thursday. Entrepreneurs and business professionals. It's in the Inwood Bank lobby from 6:30 to 8 p.m. 1801 Northampton Road, DeSoto, Texas. Man, if you got time, make sure you go do a little networking. Find out if you can be somebody that got your business. Thursday, we're doing a little pre-gaming, man. That's right, teachers. I know you're going back. I know you're going to need somewhere to go. So why not come hang out with me? Thursday, we live at Bois Louis. We taking over the joint. It's the pre-game Thursday, getting you ready for your Friday. And of course, my man, Convo Art will be in the building. The paint party will be going on as well. Man, when I tell you, this is a live event, a big event. We always do this every first Thursday. So we want you to come out and join in. If you want to bring your girls, and hey, look, tell you, we have a fun festive time. We take you back, forward, East Coast, West Coast. We got the line dances going on, a little bit of everything. And this is the feature, the brand new, the 90s and the thousands, Kickback Fridays on the Lake. That's right, man. We are live at Joe Too Late from 6 to 9 on Friday, the August the 18th. Man, look, what I tell you is fun. Shout out to my man, CJ. He got it set up for us. Brothers, you can bring the cigars, smoke freely if you like to do that. Ladies, come in something that's cool. And we're just going to take you back to the 90s and the 2000s. You'll have a good time. I know the food is excellent. I've been there. Wait staff is excellent. Drinks to be ready. So make sure you can come on out, come holler at your boy, and we can definitely have a good time. So before I go any further, my people, how you doing? If I ran through that real quick, let me know. I'll let you see it at the end of the show. But D-Lo, check, you good? Okay.
I'm good. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I got you, Kinfolk.
Nah, I'm good. Can you? I don't know if you can hear me or not. I got my.
Oh yeah, I hear you clearly.
Okay, cool.
I hear you clearly. Cool. How's the family?
Everybody's well. Just taking it one day at a time, man. That's it. You know how I go.
I hear that, man. That's what's up, man. Jay, how you feel?
What it do? I'm doing good. How are y'all?
Yeah, man, look, we straight. Look, I want to check on my people. They say, as JJ would say, always call and check on your strong friends. So look, I got 3 of them here, so I got to check and make sure they're good. But ain't further ado, man. Look, one more last thing before we do anything. Look, I know some of y'all might judge me out there in the world, but I gotta do this because you know you grew up with it.
Okay.
To the Mr.
Can't hear you.
You can hear me?
You breaking up.
What about now? Oh Lord, I'm gonna change these.
I gotta figure out who Webby finna fight, because Webby got this rap like she finna go to redeem for Earl Spence. Because Like I gotta figure out who Webby for the fight. I'm like, God, dog.
That face, I tell you what the face be talking. Can you hear me now, Wendy? Am I good?
I mean, it's better.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And to your point, D. Lou, I'm not gonna fight anybody because I just got my nails done. So
I just seen the wrap on your hands. It looks, I don't know if that's from your
it's the
wrist.
purple
I don't know.
tunnel.
Yeah, okay, I got you. I'm sorry about that. I'll be praying for you in that regard.
You know,
Well,
but
man.
I'll fight. Got to keep my nails together.
Yeah.
Well, if you didn't know, man, Mr. Pee Wee Herman the Pee Wee Herman man himself passed away. I believe it was today or this week, this past weekend. So I want to give a big shout out to him, man. I understand what he is and what he do or what he did. However, if you grew up, that was a part of your childhood. So, Mr. Herman, Mr. Pee Wee Herman, man, we hope you rest well. We'll see you on the other side. And, you know what I'm saying? We'll continue doing your dance, Pee Wee Herman. Yeah.
My dance.
No, that's okay. Because your hand broke. I don't want you to do it. You do it. You do it. I don't want you to hurt yourself no more.
Don't.
I was here. Y'all was gonna let me.
You won't hurt yourself no more than what it already is. I promise you.
Man.
All right, so let's go and get into it, man. Today may be a little touchy. Disclaimer: we're not excusing any actions. We're not saying anything was done right or what we said or what I'm about to say was done. What I want to say is it an excuse or even a reason to do it. Period. Today's topic: I cheated. Now what do I do? And how do I tell it? So before y'all dig into this, let me go ahead and give you a brief context to the content, right? Can y'all hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right, so, and I always say I can use me because I'm good at taking all the pressure, right? So I can honestly say when I was actually married that if you want to say, they say looking in is cheating or whatever case may be, but I can honestly say, yeah, I've came to the brink of almost cheating. And let me give you a brief story. So going through all that we was going through, and at that time where I was working, she out of nowhere just called me out the elevator. And conversation was, and the first time I just blocked it off, like, yeah, okay, whatever. Couple weeks, I'm gonna say maybe 3 weeks later, things were going on at the house. And it was just like, man, dude, this is crazy. I didn't sign up for this. I know I didn't. And you having conversation after conversation after conversation, and things ain't working. You starting to feel like you're not enough, or you feeling emasculated, or you feel defeated or depleted, however you want to put it. So that last time she said something to me, I could say I entertained the thought. Entertained the thought so much as to the point, I'm getting lunch at work and man, you know what I'm saying, the whole nine. But it's just conversation, nothing else. But it came down to one night. One night was real bad. And I think I got up and left. And before I knew it, I knew where I was going. I drove to her house, got to the front door, and I just stopped. I never knocked on the door. I never went in. I never did anything physical with her, nothing. And that was the closest I've ever, or I'm gonna say that I came to the point of actually cheating on my wife at the time. I have no excuse for it, no disclaimer, so don't look for one. I can tell you if questions are asked, I'll definitely tell you what was going on. But I remember having the conversation with her before I ever did that was, I told her that I can cheat on you. As long as I pay all these bills, as long as you got money in your pocket, as long as the kids are taken care of, everything is done at this house and you good, I can leave and go be with somebody else and you wouldn't even know it. So was that a proud moment of mine? No. Am I able to share it? Yes. Because later on in life, I got a chance to see what
what God's love looked like. So, and at that point, and during that point, I can say there was times where I was like, nah, this ain't it. Or you felt like you didn't deserve it, right? Needless to say, at that time, and then I'm gonna ask y'all a question later. But during that time, I did some reflection on myself. So this is when I say, and I know Jules is going to disagree. This is when I say that if somebody cheated on you, you have a part to play in it. And I had a part to play in it because of some of my actions, some of the things that I was saying, some of the things I wasn't listening. I was trying to what I always say. I was listening to respond, not listening to listen. And it was bad. Like it was real ugly. Nothing physical, but I mean, words is enough. So, yeah. So that's basically where I was at that time. I mean, of course, once again, thank God for God's grace and mercy. But that was a moment in time that I actually, I ain't gonna say I regret it, but it was a moment in time where my mind played back to my childhood. And I'm not gonna get into all of it, but what I will say is I've seen a lot growing up. So when I was at that door, I remember what I seen, the hurt that I seen. And this is about 12, 13. So it was like, dude, this is what you about to do right now. But I played a part in it because I left the door open. Because I was not being totally the husband that I needed to be. I had that mindset that I grew up watching my grandparents. So it's like, I know what it to be in a relationship. But what I really didn't know was the conversations they had when we were not privy to in their room. That's the part I didn't know how to function in. So, and as she said before, we quit too soon. We gave up. And, it's certain couple of things she said on the show a long time ago. So eventually I came clean with my truth and told her that, that almost happened or whatever or not. So, and unfortunately it was after we were already done, but, it still doesn't change the punishment. It doesn't change the repercussions of the crime per se. So that's me. That's why I was like, it may be someone who's on the brink of like, you know what? I ain't getting it. I keep asking for it. We keep having these conversations. It ain't working. It ain't this. And now you done did the unthinkable. You done went out and became infidelity, or you had the thought, or you may be sitting there at home thinking about it now. So if you're going through this right now, then we're going to try to help you through it. We're going to try to walk you through it, try to give you some advice that could help you just come clean and have a new start. So ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and jump in where you fit in. I hope that helps. Make sure if you want to be a part of the show, just, hey man, hit your comments. I'll make sure I'll be paying attention. But what do they do, D? I cheated, bro. What do I do? How do I tell them?
Well, it's interesting you start with me. I was hoping you started with people later. All right, but but I would say this. No. I'm gonna say this. No, it's fine.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start with your story.
Okay.
So I'm not trying to take us to Bible study, but listen, your story sound a lot like the encounter with David and Saul in the cave. Mm-hmm. So I think this is going to answer some questions, right? Saul was wilding out, trying to kill David. Saul was coming after David. And it all started from the words. Saul kills his thousands, David kills his 10,000s, right? After that, and it was the crowd saying, oh God, we're gonna go somewhere with this. I already see it. The crowds were going like really like trying to, hype this up. But as they were hyping up David, the insecurities of Saul came out drastically, right? So then it goes down this pattern of this love-hate relationship that Saul began to have with David. And then all of a sudden you have this situation where one minute David's he's trying to kill David, and the next minute he's trying to make up with him. Then the next time he trying to kill him, and then the next time he trying to make up with him. And then David has the opportunity. David is on the run. David is hiding in this cave. Saul end up coming to the cave and going to sleep. David had the opportunity to kill him right there. And everybody was hyping him up like, bro, you can get rid of him right now. Just go ahead and kill him right now. But David decided to just take a piece of his garment. And even taking the piece of his garment, David was deeply convicted by that. Because Saul was God's chosen person in that role, right? So, and David ended up lastly, it's how it ends. David goes out, like when Saul gets up, steps out, David comes out the cave and let him know what he could have did to him, right? Right. Saul breaks down, and then you have that whole experience. Sometimes that type of roller coaster, like, you know, although Saul had a part to play, right? Meaning, although Saul was doing what he was doing, right? David still had a covenant with God that had nothing to do with Saul. And his true obedience was to God, right? Like, so even cutting that garment, that was this particular conviction that took place, right? So David doing what he did had nothing to do with Saul, had everything to do with David. And David was disobedient to God, which that was between them two, right? Although Saul was trying to kill him and Saul was coming after him, David knew that he wasn't supposed to touch that or supposed to do that, right? So I think there's this, from a marriage perspective, from a covenant perspective, right? Sometimes you have to, when you can't be faithful to your wife, you have to stay faithful to the covenant. When you don't like your wife, when you don't like your spouse, when you don't like the situation that you're in the moment, you have to remember the covenant you made with God. Because here's the deal, like, you made that covenant to honor and to cherish, to love and to hold, to death do us part. When you start going down these, bro, them vows mean something.
Do they really?
Those words matter. You know what I mean? So yes, did she do something to provoke you? Yeah. Did she stroke your insecurity instead of stroking your ego? Possibly. But the reality is you still are responsible for having self-control within yourself, right? To ensure that you don't make that mistake. It didn't fall on Eve when she bit the apple. It fell on Adam. Because Adam chose to do it, right? So there is a responsibility as a man, right, to step up and take ownership in that space. So I'll stop at that point. I hope that made some sense.
Okay, ladies, go ahead.
I'm gonna jump in there.
We had something very interesting to put into this.
I'm gonna jump in there for a second because you already know how I feel. Like I feel like you cheated. It's you. It ain't got nothing to do with your spouse. You decided to go out and do that. And just like in this situation, like it was already in your mind to do it. First of all, because let me ask this question: how you know where she's staying? How you just get in your car and drive to her house? How did you even know where to go? Like,
because conversation was, that's what that was.
You were already in the conversation and you were already collecting, the opportunity and already, planning it out in your head how it would work. Like that's way before you even act. That's way before you even act on it. Like it's like it takes seed in your mind first before you actually execute things. So it's all about the person. Like if I cheat, it's because I wanted to cheat. There's always a choice. There's always the option to go and say, hey, this isn't working or this isn't what it's supposed to be. And if you really want to go out there and cheat and you really want to go out there and do something, you can still cut it off. You can still walk away from the situation, break up, whatever. And marriages is not so easy, but you're the adult. You know what I mean? You're the responsible party in a relationship that if you don't want to be in it, then you take actions towards that. Don't go out and, hurt other people in the process. Because not only are you entangling yourself, you hurting your wife, but you also entangling yourself with somebody else. And that's a whole nother situation that could be just go way off wire, So that's 3 people. And then if you got kids and other stuff, but man, that's just a snowball.
That's tough.
Event.
So,
That's tough.
y'all ain't gonna like my response.
Come on, Wendy.
Because
No, that's what it's about.
To respectfully disagree with some things. At the end of the day, yes, we're all adults. We all have free will, choice. We all have that. And so I want to particularly speak on the part where the other party played a part. It's not excusing the behavior that the other person did. It's nobody ever wants to look at the part that the other spouse played in. Nobody ever wants to look at the constant rejection, the down talking, the belittlement to where your spouse was left uncovered. That person also had a responsibility and a covenant with God. I am not excusing the behavior, but what I am saying is that nobody's saying anything about that. Yes, we're all adults. Yes, an adult thing is for you not to belittle me either. The adult thing is not for you to reject me. The adult thing is not for you to make me feel like I am the dirt underneath your shoes, to where it's okay for you to allow me to leave this house uncovered by you. Again, not excusing the behavior, but when nobody wants to talk about what leads up to these moments where your spouse is potentially contemplating this situation or even entertaining another individual. That stuff does not happen overnight. This is well like months and years of whatever it is that's going on into the marriage. Nobody waits to say, oh my gosh, let me call such and such and call them today. That's not how that happens. A lot of people want to believe that's how that happens, but that is not how that happens whatsoever.
So wait, let me ask you this. Stay with your point. But do you feel as though, no, I want you to keep on, so I'm going to put this up here. And I want y'all to be honest with yourself if y'all have ever done this. So what that says is temptation usually comes in through a door that was deliberately left open. So from what you're saying, I get that. So there was a door that I left open. So when she said something to me the first time, and I was like, whatever. But I continued to have the conversation with me leaving the door open, just in case. We were like, well, so I got somewhere to run to get comfortable. That's what I get out of what you're saying. So right, go ahead. I want you to continue.
And I'm gonna continue.
I want to put that to your point that some of us have left the door open. Whether you're the one that cheated on somebody or you the one that got cheated.
So I'm gonna say this again so that everybody who's watching is very clear in what I'm saying. I am not excusing the behavior. But what I am saying is that there were steps that led up to that situation. That's what I'm saying. And what I'm saying is nobody talks about that. I'm not talking about folks who habitually was cheating before you got married. I'm not talking about that, because if they was cheating before you got married, then shame on you, because y'all should have had a conversation of not have gotten married. Because if they was doing that type of behavior before you got married, then a ring and a piece of paper was not going to change that particular behavior. What I am saying is when you're vulnerable, when you and your spouse are just not vibing. And I'm not, like I said, I ain't talking about like for 2 or 3 days. I'm talking about weeks, months, years on end, we not vibing. So then what do you do? And again, not excusing the behavior. I feel like I got to keep saying it, because I'm not justifying anybody stepping out on their marriage. But nobody don't want to look at the other stuff that gets to the part. I'm sorry.
I have a question, Webby. Yeah, I have a question too. I'm sorry, JJ. I didn't hear you. I'm so sorry. I didn't want to.
I was saying that, and even in those situations where you've been in it and it's longevity, and you still have a choice. You still have a choice to do it or not do it, or just walk away from it.
You do
Like,
have a choice.
Right.
I'm not
and
saying
instead,
that
you don't
it's
have to
not.
cheat, and they're not driving you to cheat. They're not driving you to cheat. They just doing what they've been doing. And now you just at a point to where you're looking for some relief or some gratification or something to make you feel better because they're not doing it. And again,
Wow.
that's the responsibility of you. You know, they doing all of this, and who holding them accountable?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
I think okay.
For me, I feel like if I'm experiencing this over and over and over, at some point I need to leave. You know, I need to leave. I need to separate. We need to do something different. We can't keep operating in the same vein and expecting a different result. That's insanity.
But you know what people do? You sit, you have these conversations. Okay, babe, yeah, I'm gonna do better, and I do better for just a little bit. Then it comes back around. Okay, baby, I'm gonna do better again next time. You ain't gonna hurt. We're gonna do this again. Then they just give you just enough to make you believe that the behavior is going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Let's
then it
call it
never
a
changes.
dictator type relationship.
I've been through this same thing. I understand exactly what you're saying, but you still have the option at the end of the day to just be like, okay, I see this pattern. We keep going through this vicious cycle. It's not getting any better. We're going to have to do something different. And that different is because you're not respecting me or loving me the way that I need you to be. We're going to have to put some real space in here. And I need to walk away from this. And especially if you cheating in the Bible, that's my out. Bye.
What you gonna say, Diku?
That's real. No, I'm listening to y'all, man. I'm sorry, I process out loud. So I'm like, yeah, man, dang. Okay, but I think what I hear you saying, Webby, is take ownership. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like the behavior, we're not excusing the behavior, but where there's no ownership, there's no growth. Like, if I can't own the fact that like I'm really like neglecting you, or I'm choosing work over you, or I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you hear a lot of people say, hey, I want a 6-figure guy, or I want these particular perks as it becomes to a guy. But what it takes to have that type of brother, like, is different. And it's not from a cheating on you perspective. It's just what it takes to sustain the lifestyle. Sometimes, like, and you have to get better at prioritizing time. So we think cheating is always something associated with another person, but there are ministers and reverends and pastors that are losing their wives because the church is their mistress.
Right.
There are like people who are like professional men who are losing their wives because their professional life is their mistress, right? And then let's not even get into really like even the things that lead up to it. Like, I think there's a study that showed like people who engage in pornography are 6,000 times more likely to cheat on their spouse. So it's not only like, oh, I'm cheating with you physically, what happens when I'm cheating with you really mentally, to the point where you can't even control your mind, even when y'all have intercourse. See, these are the things that we really got to start getting into, because cheating, it happens way before, like before cheating shows up in the flesh, it shows up in the mind way before.
And that's the part that people don't want to talk about. They just want to talk about the blowout. That's the fallout from the situation. But we need to talk about what was going on year 5, 6, 7, and 8 before that took place. And it's not none of that is leaving, cheating. That's not always the answer. That is the fallout.
Well, that's the response. That's not the primary thing.
That's not the primary. The primary thing is what led those steps that led up to that situation, whether it was cheating or whoever just decided to leave. And I can speak from my own marriage, that rejection, that hurts. And that stuff went on for years in my marriage. Like where I will go sit down next to my husband at the time, well, ex-husband now, and he'll push me off of him, or him sleeping on the couch, or him not wanting to come to the bed. whenever, that, or him not wanting to plan dates, and people don't think that's important, but after 6, 7, 8, 9 years, you keep hearing, oh, well, you're better at it than me, but when you want to go hang out with the homeboys, you seem to find a way to plan stuff, so that stuff gets really old. Again, I'm not saying it's everything took place in the marriage, but I'm saying I can relate to some of those things, and I can definitely, regardless if I agree or not, I can understand how cheating happens.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And it's just like people act like that's unreal, like it doesn't happen. And I think, and I can speak for me, I got married at 23. Yeah, 23, had a baby at 24. And you would think like, oh my gosh, this could never happen to me, or whatever this is. And then as you grow and mature, you understand how very easily things can happen to you, because you're either not paying attention, you're oblivious to it, or life hadn't happened to you yet. Because we all know, all of us been married before, still married. Marriage ain't always rainbows and unicorns. It's some tough days. It's moments where we ain't vibing for a whole year, not 2 and 3 days. What happens when we ain't vibing for 2 years? Dang, here we are, year 3. We still ain't getting it together. We just functioning.
Hey, Webby, can I throw a caveat in there? You're a researcher. You're a researcher. You look at the dictionary. You probably know every word in it. The reality is just, if you look at the research, you will see how many marriages are abstinent. There are a lot of married and abstinent people, right? Like 50% of marriage, I think it was like 51% of marriages are, they rarely have sex in their marriages. Like,
I got you.
And my mentor actually, that brother said that on the podcast. I said, what? Like, I was like, yo, right. But it is a real thing. And there are different variables that contribute to that, right? But like, all in all, when you're not being prioritized, you're not prioritizing 100%, temptation creeps in. And temptation is, but we have to be, this is what we have to take ownership. Temptation is rooted from our own desires, though. Right. And when we choose not to communicate those desires because we fed up, because we've either felt like we've over communicated it, or, you know what I mean? Like, if we get to that point to where the Black folks call it being sick and tired of being sick and tired, right?
Say it again.
That's a dangerous place to get with any relationship. It's just best to leave it.
Hey, when
because
folks
that's where I agree with JJ on that.
So,
and to your point, the research, yes. And one of my last few therapist classes, we had to watch a video. His last name is Schnark. I can drop the video in the chat, which was talking about leading up to that, and he was saying that, like, as far as like with sex and stuff, nobody wants to be the person in a relationship where they're always having to be held up. Because if you're the one who's always needing the cheering on, the being held up, like all the affirmations all the time, then eventually your partner is going to be tired of you and being very resentful. And nobody wants to have sex with the person that they're always having to hold up. We have a responsibility to think of, and like I said, he's passed away. He's a psychiatrist. And he was like, we have a responsibility to take control of our own happiness. It is not our spouse's job to make sure that we're happy. It's ours, ultimately. So, and I think people forget that. I'm not saying that your spouse shouldn't be your biggest cheerleader, but if every day you coming home and I got to do this for you, that becomes a lot. I'm not, like, again, not excusing behavior, but that becomes taxing. So now I'm holding you, I'm holding me, I'm holding us, I'm holding the kids, I'm holding that's a lot. And then when it's time to lay down, nobody's interested in having sex.
So, and she could be, and like I said, I'm using me because I don't want nobody else to use their own business. Appreciate you, Black Ice, for tuning in. He said, man, I man up and told my wife at that time I was just being stupid. Honestly, I can appreciate that. I don't know if the door was left open deliberately, but it was left open. So to go further with what y'all saying, that's why I said I just want to sit back and let y'all access it. But yeah, in that situation, it was it was times where I was like, I was not. It was because I'm always just transparent. So let me be me. I never forget one night it was rolled over and it was said, that's messed up. I got a whole ass husband and can't have and can't get no sex. And I said, I feel you. I got a whole ass wife that I can't trust to have sex with. Blatantly said just like that. Now, of course, could I leave? For that reason why I didn't leave, because if you know my background, if you know my family, and what my grandfather instilled in us and still lives with us today, you when you, like D said, you took those vows, and those vows are very serious. I watched my grandfather and grandmother for years, thought I knew everything was to be married until, I've sat down and talked to her and she told and said some things. And I normally put these people on a pedestal, as well as my mother and my fathers. So some of my background, some of the things that I learned, when I put those three ladies up, my aunt, my mother, and my grandmother, them were strong people in my family. The men were definitely strong. My uncles loved them to life. But them three there, when I tell you I learned how to treat a woman, I learned how to think like a woman, I learned how to conversate, I learned how to be ahead of the game, I learned how to play. I can honestly say that in that time, when I acted, I was acting out of emotions. So this is why when I went to council, I had to learn how to be responsive and not react. Because reactive would have took me down a whole nother road. And something that, of course, I had to be forgiven for about her and God, of course. But yeah, I mean, and I used to say everything with Lil Webby said. It's like every time something go on, it's Greg this, Greg that, Greg that. Even when we left, one of her friends stopped me in the mall. They were talking about, you just got your stuff and leave. I'm not gonna stay nowhere where everybody want to tell me, I don't want you here. Leave. Then I give you what you want, and then you call me and say, well, you didn't even fight for us. The hell is you talking about? When
Never give them what they want. Never give them what they want. Don't do that.
Trying to hear, and you know what? I make that mistake all the time. Always trying to prove what I am instead of just showing people what I am and let it be. So I make that mistake all the time. And that's the part of me that when people say, have you forgiven yourself? That's the part of me I've forgiven myself about it. But when I tell you I make that mistake so much. So when I got into another situation with a young lady where, we always make this statement about, is she wifey material, girlfriend material? Man, look, when you get an old lady when you get a lady that stands up to her own family for you, now listen to what I said. She stood up to her own family for me. In the family, I'm not married to you, but you love me that much, you care for me that much, and that was in the wrong, point blank period. But to see that, to me, I was like, okay, well, look, I mean, these are the attributes of not the title of a wife, but these are attributes of a woman. Because you showed me in that moment, it's me and you, not nobody else. It's me and you against the world. And now I know I can rely on you. Now I know that you're gonna be there. Now I know when I'm in this ring, I don't ever have to look back. Mike told me something a long time ago that stays with me. Two things, and you can go further into it. But one, he said when he finally figured out he wanted to be married, you had to do death to self. I want you to elaborate on that, right? And then the other thing that he said, because he said, he said, you got to kill that person, bro. You got to kill that person. And the one thing he said to me was, it's easy to be a man when you got a real one watching your back. You don't ever got to think twice about it. You don't ever got to know, oh, she gonna leave. And then the other thing I'm gonna add to that is that, man, look, bottom line, people that want to be there and are committed will be there. Period. So even in my mistake, when I got there, what I will say in my own mistake that led up to that, the foundation, pardon my mouth, the foundation he had was shit. It was rocky. It wasn't standing on nothing. So when it got rocky, it was like, I can just go do this. I can get this from over here. I can get congratulated, encouraged. I can get supported over here. I can do all this over here. Meaning only, and the only thing I could think of in that moment was this would only be good for a night, but it won't be good for a lifetime. So when I did that and turned around and walked off, that's all I kept thinking about. And I said it on the way home. I said, as I sit in the garage and try to figure out how I'm gonna go in this house and tell her, I was like, Lord, if you forgive me this, I promise I will do my part. Try to correct some of the mistakes that I made in order to make this work. But D, you cannot do it by yourself.
No, you can't.
No, you can't do it by yourself. But hey, look, I kind of want to jump into what you were saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why do we put more value, right, in teaching? And I'm just speaking to the men specifically right here. Why do we put more value in, and this is what we was taught, to be loose than we put value into being self-controlled? Like, yo, like, especially with our women, bro, like, you can't unknow what you know. You know what I'm saying? And if you've gotten to know a lot of women in an intimate space, to where she done gave her body to you, and you done gave your body to her,
Mm-hmm.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then you trying to get committed in one situation, bro. Like a lot of times, again, you gotta remember, we're tempted from our own desires. Like, and at the end of the day, you know, it's one of those things where, like, when Mike was saying you gotta die to yourself, he was like, yo, I gotta die to myself. And I gotta, these things that show up that be trying to plague me, I gotta have self-control. Because guess what? Even in that process of him dying to himself and him becoming abstinent for a while just to get himself right, you think the opportunity to have sex stopped? No, I was with him. I was with him. I know what it was. You know what I'm saying? Like, the opportunity to have sex didn't stop. So at some point, man, you got to learn how to have self-control, and self-control is a part of being a man. You know what I mean? And really standing 10 toes down and say, no, I don't care what she do. I don't care what you do. At the end of the day, I'm not doing that. You have to make that decision. Because at the end of the day, and this might be unpopular, you know what I'm saying? Like, we got to stop playing the blame game on people and blaming people for decisions that we made, decisions that we chose. You feel what I'm saying? And again, I'm not trying to be rude or anything like that. But at some point, when you go before the Lord and you have to give an account for your stuff, like, these are decisions that you made. We can't say it. Oh, if she did that, and so I did that because he did. No, baby. You made that decision, right? And you got free will to make that decision at the end of the day, you know. And that's just this is real black and white, and this is just my perspective. And this is what makes the podcast amazing, because we all have different views, right? But the reality is, though, it's like, yo, like, it's black and white, bro. Like, and at the end of the day, like, we all have to give an account for the decisions we make, both good. Well, let me just say it this way: both obedient and disobedient.
Right.
So,
and here's something else. Can I add on to the end of that? Like, so like, when you make the decision to cheat, it's based on your insecurity. It's based on what you not getting and what you desire. You know, it's based on those things. It don't matter how many years you've been in it. It don't matter how long you've been withholding and how good you've been up until this point. It's based on you and how you feel internally. It don't matter if that person, it ain't worth nothing. Let's just say that they ain't worth nothing. You know, they've been a dog all their life. They've been a dog to you the whole situation. It's still your choice to cheat. It's still your decision. And it doesn't mean that what they're doing to you isn't right. It doesn't make it right that what they're doing to you, that you should stay in line. It should be your own character, your own personal, your own level of, you know, standard, you know, of how you choose to do what you do. You know, it's your choice. it's nobody else's responsibility to. It's like saying, okay, like just because they say all Black people like to eat chicken and watermelon, and if you don't like watermelon, you're gonna eat the watermelon. Is that what you gonna do? You gonna chicken and that watermelon? You don't like it? You vegan, man. You vegan. Now you finna convert because they say I mean, it's like that to me. Like, you don't get to tell me how to live my life, or just because you doing something don't mean I'm gonna act like, because you over acting a fool, you over here being ratchet, don't mean that I gotta do the same thing. It's my choice to respond the way I feel appropriate, you know? And we can choose. And I'm not saying that I'm innocent of anything. What I'm just saying is that you choose it. You own it. You own that decision, because when you do it, then it comes with all these other repercussions and fallouts. And whether you hold on to it and don't tell nobody because you want to take it to the grave and not hurt nobody, it's still your choice. You still did it, and it's your choice. You chose to do it. So that's all I'm saying with that. And as far as how do you respond and how do you tell? I mean, to each his own. That's a whole nother animal to open up, because some people keep it and hold it to the grave, and then some people just tell it because they feeling guilty, and they feeling the need to repent. And that really, again, is the person who cheated. It's all that guilt and that pain that they holding on to. It ain't even got nothing to do with the other person. So they gonna confess.
So, Jewel, question. You said it's the insecurity within me.
Yeah.
So you saying you don't have no part to play within the insecurity that's in me?
It's, you gotta self-check yourself. Dude,
That's
like,
the question I asked. The question I asked was,
like,
you have a part to play in the insecurity that I have within me.
Me personally, I don't. What I'm saying is, if I'm in a relationship with you, it's your responsibility to speak up and hold me accountable to your standards.
But do you? So okay, so
I'm not saying.
I think I get what you mean.
To speak.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
So once I speak up,
Great.
For your standards, if we were in a situation, if once I speak up and hold you to your standards, do you not say you had a part to play in the insecurity that you say this is with me?
I may have, how do you say? I may have added to your insecurity, but your insecurity is your insecurity. I may have added to it, but it was already there.
So how do you? So I want you to speak on that. How is the insecurity already there? Because some people cheat, they ain't got no insecurity.
Everybody got some insecurities. Ain't nobody
certain things. I'm not saying you don't have insecurity. I have female insecurity.
Flag on the play, because D. Lou just asked a real good question. I think again, nobody's acknowledging this other part. He said, does your significant other have a part, like basically cause insecurities? Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I think
insecurities in the relationship. Ain't nobody talking about that.
Yeah, so I think for sure your partner can contribute to insecurities, new insecurities. Let me be real specific. Here's why. Because before, I had never, and this is full transparency, I had never experienced a woman trying to put a baby on me before I experienced that situation that I went through, right? Like, I didn't know like what it felt like to not have a kid that turned out to be yours until I had that experience, right? Like, so it was things where even when I tried to mend that situation during that time period, like it still didn't feel right. Like it was still something in me that I had never felt before that I just felt like I couldn't get past, even though I was just still trying to pursue that and make it right. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, like there are things and experiences that happen that influence people from relationship to relationship that can produce these particular level of insecurities that didn't exist prior to this relationship.
That part that don't nobody. But that part, and that's
You said that don't mean that it didn't exist? JJ, I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm curious to what you're about to say there. Why would you say that?
It just means that you hadn't experienced that type of situation before. You know what I mean? If it was something that you wasn't insecure about and you were exposed to it and it didn't create no insecurities, then I mean, it had to exist somewhere. You just was exposed. It was like it was covered by a rock and somebody picked up the rock.
That's not necessary.
I disagree. I respectfully disagree. And
I
here's why.
disagree as well.
Here's why. Because there are particular things that can happen to you that traumatically impact you in a way, right? That have never happened before. You've never had those thoughts before. You felt safe in that area before because you actually trusted the person, right? You actually was in it, and you was actually in it with them. But then this happens, and then it's like, whoa, like your trust is shaking, and you really don't know how to really bounce back from it, right? To the point where even when I was having this little big head kid that's sitting right next to me, that thought presented itself in a way that I was like, obviously I know this ain't true, right? But God redefined it for me through him, you know what I'm saying? And it was just like, it was a new experience, but like I know me, I was not in that space before something like that happened to me. And it's for many of us, there are a lot of things that happen to us. Like take a person that's experienced a family that was a close-knit family, like where mama was there, people showed up, everybody supported, right? But then they get a spouse that they deeply love and look like that and they start treating them like family, but that person begins to neglect them. That person begins to disrespect them and try to go upside their head. They've never experienced nothing like that.
Right. That insecurity wasn't hidden underneath a rock or anything like that. That came from the situation that you were in with that particular individual, because the same person that builds you up can also be the same person that tears you down, who also creates the insecurity. When I was married, my ex-husband was fairly well, making me feel appreciated and things of that nature. And we can go down and listen. We can have a whole podcast about me and my ex. However, I know we're not going to. And as years went on, then I got, you sure don't do this. You don't do this. Well, I don't want to do this with you. You should annoy me. And these are things that I had been doing. So now you're saying I annoy you? Like, really? And that's when that insecurity started to come up, like, oh, well, let me try to do this. So now I'm shaking and moving and shifting because they became annoyed with something that I had been doing. They never had expressed that whatever I was doing bothered them until I guess they decided to make it a problem, which that creates. So now I don't know how I'm moving around you. Now I'm tiptoeing around you when I wasn't tiptoeing behind you in the first place. Or if you saw me in something and you thought I looked good and then you saw me in it some time ago, now you're saying I look fat when I didn't have that insecurity from the start. So yes, your spouse can definitely contribute to some of the insecurities that you have and brought on new insecurities. You didn't even know that was even a problem.
Now, so let me ask you. Oh, go ahead. Just because insecurities exist doesn't mean that they have to stay. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Right. There comes a point where you have to heal, and there comes a point where you have to make the best informed decision. Right. Like you are in control of your decision making. Yeah. Just because a person made you feel insecure, sometimes when you're immature, right? Like you want to make them feel how they made you feel. You know what I mean? And that's immature. That sometimes they can be some of our immature. Like I've been very petty in the past at times. Right?
Yes, I raised up.
But a lot of that was rooted in my inability to know how to communicate. I didn't really know how to communicate how I felt. You know what I mean? Like I just was I was hurt by the situation, and so it created a phase in my life where I just didn't make the best informed decisions. I was just kind of for myself because I was scared to actually go into that insecurity created fear. because I didn't want to go through nothing like that again. You know what I'm saying? And I thought, like, dang, like it limited me the capacity I can love from and the capacity that I can trust from. And I had to overcome that. You know what I mean? And here's the reality. God will send you somebody that's patient to work with you through that if you're willing to get over it.
Absolutely.
So let me
But
ask
you have
y'all
to be
this.
willing to go over it.
What's up?
So let me ask y'all this. So, and I know it's about that time, so I'm gonna get y'all out. So let me ask y'all this. Do you think because your mother had this conversation, I believe that not only the person that got cheated on experiences grief, feelings, or I said they go through these three emotions, right? One, why in the hell you cheated? That is like the natural reaction emotion, right? Then you get into you with your boys and you talking about she done cheated. Now you sitting there talking about, man, I can't believe you didn't like this, blah, 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 blah. Now you in your feelings. So you still a little irrational. Now you trying to get everybody on your team, or you want somebody to pat you on your back and say, oh yeah, bro, you right. Then the next level to that is the rational thought, which I think many of us don't get to. We don't get to the rational thought to start. And me and her both did this. Like when this went on, now don't get it twisted. Like I said, I did almost do what I do, but there's a certain part of the story I'm not gonna go into or protect parties. Just know that, of course, she's not playing either. But my thing is, we both got to the rational part, which I think what makes us real good friends now. Because when we did break up, we realized I wouldn't be in this, I wouldn't be in that, and called each other and apologized a whole lot. Me and her both. So what I'm saying is, and I had this conversation in back and forth with my mother before, but do y'all think when these things happen, do both parties experience the grief, the emotional, the irrational, and the rational, and then the rational thinking, if you let yourself get it? Do both parties really experience grief?
I think they do, but I think some choose. I think the opportunity is there. I think some choose not to because they want to hold on to the hurt. Because it's easier to hold, and this is why people struggle with apologizing. It's easier to hold on to the hurt than accept the fact that you played a part in whatever it is. And I'm not talking about just cheating.
Right. People
struggle with seeing themselves doing the reflection part of it. Because it's easier to just say, he hurt me, she hurt me, I don't want to deal with it, and move on. People are holding to that level of hurt till they die.
Let me read this comment. BG says, we open up to our spouses and become vulnerable, and then the spouses exploits those vulnerabilities. True. And that goes along with, now that I can go along with what JJ says. Like if somebody brings up something, because we can't see what we do. So if I'm around JJ and she's like, that's real nasty that you suck up your snot and spit out your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing? Like, find something else to do. I had to use something relevant, pimp. But I'm just saying, but there's certain things that I know and I'll be first to you, I'm not the easiest person to be with. And I know that.
None of us
there's things I've worked, But some people think they are angels, like they are saints, like
none of us
so easy to be with. No, you're not. You're not. You really not. But yeah. So I wanted to make that comment. Chris said I did have some grief on my own actions because I knew better. Okay. Now go ahead, JJ. I'm sorry. I know you was going to respond. And D, get in, and we're gonna go ahead and shut it down.
I was just gonna say that people experience the aftermath of it in their own time. It's not always at the same time. A lot of time, the person who leaves first is the person who feels the most and has the most. They deal with it first. A lot of times, and sometimes the person who, that's getting left or whatever, they don't even realize it until after the fact or until they've experienced another relationship or they reflect. You know, it just depends on, you know, where you at in that relationship and if you trying to heal.
That's a good word. Trying to heal. I like that. Go ahead, D.
Man, but there are two sides to it. There's a side where the person has cheated on you and you're taking the space to either forgive and walk away. And depending on what kind of hold that person have on you, it can be like a person that gets beat but stay because they like, he loves me, right? Or she loves me, right? You know what I mean? And it's but that's a real thing that happens, man. And as unfortunate as it is, you can have an habitual cheater, right? But that person is giving you a lifestyle or giving you an experience that you don't feel like you can live without. So you tolerate it. You tolerate it, right?
Is that toxic relationship you be talking about, bro?
It can be toxic. I mean, but if they don't see it toxic,
like what you saying, you like toxic.
Yeah, like I mean, it's like I have my healthy dose of ratchet, like that I really like. But here's the reality too. Then there's the cheater, and I think you got to be very clear. You got to tell the truth, right? You got to tell the truth. You got to go ahead and let him or her know, because the longer you don't let them know, that's when you manipulate that person slowly and surely. It turns into mass manipulation.
So, D, do I get looked at upon as? I want you to keep going. That's why I'm answering this question. Do I look upon as doing my due diligence and looked at, well, he did tell me the truth? Do I get, as we say,
it's not about how you look at this point. I already did it, right? So it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like it ain't gonna change nothing. I mean, you're not gonna really influence her one way or the other unless you tell her. You know what I mean? You gotta tell her. Like, and here's the deal. My what's very difficult to do is to be honest before it gets to that point. Right? To say, like, look, hey, look, I didn't do it, but I wanted to. And I don't know why I wanted to. Well, I know why I wanted to, let me be clear. I know why I wanted to, and here's why, right? And I'm really struggling. I'm struggling right now. And here's why I'm struggling. You know what I'm saying? Like, really, truly, like sometimes it's easier to cheat than it is to be vulnerable. And you gotta, you know what I'm saying? So, like, you gotta be self-aware enough to know, like, and it's gonna require you to be self-aware to say, look, before it even get to this point, hey, bruh, let me talk to you about something. And actually give her a shot, right? That doesn't still mean go cheat, right? But give her a shot to be able to handle that part of you that might be insecure. Give her a shot in you, like, to really be able to handle that space in you from a vulnerable place. Like before we get vulnerable in the bed, like, let me get vulnerable with you and tell you some truth. And sis, it might hurt. I ain't gonna lie, it might hurt. But if he can't tell you something that might hurt you and you still what's worse, him telling you up front, like he wanted to do this, or him telling you after he already did it?
Up front.
And you know what?
After more. I think that not only do you have to be vulnerable in it and tell the truth, but you still, with your spouse, have to come up with a plan to get through it.
Yeah, involve her in it. Like, yeah, I'm with you. Involve him in it too, though. Involve him in it too. Even like, because this is both ways. This is both ways.
But in theory, I'm sorry. In theory, that sounds real good, doesn't it?
Well, if we don't understand theory, everybody's not going to understand. Everybody's not going to. I'm with you. I want to hear you out, Webby, first before I say anything. I'm sorry.
So I don't disagree. Yes, we need to be able to over communicate and over comprehend. We always talk about communication. Nobody really talks about comprehending and understanding the words that are coming out of that person's mouth. So if I or whoever shares with you that they thought about cheating, most often they've stopped listening to the conversation because they're not hearing what's going to follow suit behind that. Because they're going to be so fixated on, oh my gosh, why would you do this to me? OMG, and this and the third. That's why I said in theory, that does sound real good. I'm not knocking, I'm not saying that people shouldn't do that. But that would take a very mature individual to sit there and sit in it and be like, oh my gosh, my spouse was thinking about cheating on me.
Like I was, sorry. I'm
get
sorry.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
Exactly what you're saying.
That's hurtful.
Yeah.
That is very hurtful. And
yeah.
And I'm not saying to still go and do it, and yes, still give that person the opportunity, but that person who's on the receiving end don't have to understand, look, I'm this close to doing something I know I don't have no business doing, but I'm here. I'm still trying to talk to you. I need you to receive what I am saying to you.
And you, and even in that, when you're giving it to that person, you still got to give them some grace to take it in, to receive it, to hear it, to be able to not respond. They're going to probably respond completely out of anger at first, but still give them room to hear it and acknowledge, say, I'm coming to you because, I need you. I need this to change, or I need us to move in a better direction. But I know this hurt, so I'm gonna give you some space to feel it, because I'm already I'm already convicted about it. So I've been dealing with it. You just now getting it, so I'm gonna give you 10 feet, let you deal with it a little bit, and then I need us to come back together and see how we gonna move forward. With it, saying, I ain't getting enough time out of you. I ain't getting enough, or whatever this out of you. And instead of complaining about it, I want to let's look at the schedule and see how we can bring it back together. Let's look at the schedule and see how we can do this differently so that we eliminate these insecurities.
So I'm gonna speak.
And what you saying, and I'm gonna go with it. What you just said sounds good. Sounds so good
in theory.
But when I tell you, I'm gonna tell you like my grandfather would say. I only got 4 teeth, and after I turn all 4, if you keep pushing me in the corner, don't get mad when I come out fighting.
I'm not pushing you.
But if we keep having the same conversation, you saying give you space. So you hear what I'm saying. Okay.
Give me space to process it. Because I need to be able to say, hey baby, I hear you saying ... because of ... And if I can't process it that way, how are we gonna move forward?
So I'm gonna speak for me, Alicia. When I was married, so things got real bad with my ex and I. And I can remember plain as day, we were sitting in the living room and I was like, hey, something got to give. Because this ain't it. And granted, I did not have the level of maturity that I do now back then. So I was like, we got to do something else, because this ain't it. And that was my way of trying to express to him, like, I'm sinking and I don't know what to do. And I'm trying to tell you. And in theory, like what you were saying, Jules, it would have been nice had my ex-husband said, okay, babe, let's sit, let's talk, let's do it. But that is not how that conversation went. It straight went to blame. It went to basically, how dare you say such? And then it ended with, I'm on the train, either you're going to get on or get left off. And I'm not saying he did anything, but what I am saying is so that was the response I got. So that's why I said, in theory, those conversations sound real nice, but application is a different thing.
Yeah, I think we got to learn how to communicate to the point where.
What you say?
I mean, both too. I think application is a part of it. Right. I think application is a part of it, but one of the things that I've had to grow in, I'm still growing in, just full transparency, is not communicating in the way I process, but finding ways to communicate in a way that they process, right? Like learning their language, getting a chance to truly understand like her perspective, like knowing her enough to know like if I what I want to, here's what I want to get across, and for her to receive it, this is how I gotta say it, right? So that she can receive it, and how she receives it, I can't control that. Meaning, how'd you say this? Let me actually run that back. How she processes this, I have to practice patience, because to help her understand where I'm at, like sometimes it ain't just saying it and then her processing it and we got it. Sometimes it's gonna be a little back and forth. There's gonna be some clarity. She wanna know, how did you even, why would you even, or he, at the very least, like it's gonna be questioned. You're gonna get challenged because this is uncomfortable, right? This is an uncomfortable situation. And what ultimately you try to do is just get to a point where you understand why they even will make that choice. And even if you don't understand why they will make that choice, are you willing to try to understand? Especially if they're coming to you beforehand to say, look, I'm just letting you know, I'm gonna go cheat. No, it ain't nothing like that, right? It's saying, yo, like, hey, look, sis, like, I love you dearly. And y'all, I'm struggling. Like, I didn't know I was struggling until like something happened today, and the woman said something to me that I actually like, and I don't know why I like it, but I do notice this has been a thing at home, and we haven't been really, feeling each other like that, or we just been at odds. I don't want the enemy to win. How can we be better? You know what I mean? Or how can we just figure this out? And vice versa. Like, because as a man, what happens when the brother? Because here's the thing: you're not the only attractive person that your spouse is gonna see. Like, it's just not the case. You know what I mean? And if you attractive, somebody gonna try to shoot their shot, whether you're a man or a woman. And I was talking to Lil Webby about this before. I was like, look, this don't mean nothing. You feel what I'm saying?
That's more attractive. That's more attractive.
You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's like, it's that self-control, it's that discipline, it's that peace where you have to remain faithful, man. And that's the word. I think faithful is the word. And if you're faithful enough to go do it, be faithful enough to her or he to be able to let them to tell them the truth. Because guess what? People out here killing people over stuff like this.
That's why they got a show called For My Man.
That part. And that conversation doesn't mean that well, I speak for me. When I was having that conversation with my ex-husband, it wasn't even a thought about somebody else. It wasn't that somebody said, hey, you look good. It wasn't any of that. It was like, you can see it weighing on my shoulders. For those who were around me during that time, they'd be like, what's wrong with you? And it's like, it was just too much going on. And now I'm trying to express to my spouse, like, hey, something got to give. And then the end of the conversation was get on the train or get left.
I mean, you're absolutely drained.
Yeah. I would say this, like, I had to learn, and that's why I had to mature. The fact that she even brought it to you is the fact that she respects you. Like, there's respect in that. Like, the fact that the person respects you enough to bring it to you. When you don't see it as respect, you see it as like, you trying to come at me, or you trying to do something to hurt me. Like, nah, just because I'm bringing to you a hard topic doesn't mean I'm trying to hurt you. I actually respect you. And because I respect you, I really want to have this conversation. You know what I'm saying?
And I would say at that time, I was very immature because my dialect then was, look, I ain't gonna walk around kiss your ass. I'm really not. This ain't even my pedigree. I'm jumping through too many hoops. I'm trying to do too much just to get your attention or trying to get us on the same track. And then every day I'm listening to you saying, won't we just get a divorce? Won't we get a divorce? And the last time I heard her say it, I told her, so remember you played this same game a long time ago. This is not a revolving door. So this time when a brother leaves, I'm out. Case closed, we ain't have no conversation. Because I'm not finna keep playing this game with you. It got to the point playing the game where
as far as you mad, they not our kids. But when you good, they our kids. Like I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna play that game with you. We not gonna do all that. When I do something, you put me on the cross and I'm hanging with Jesus. But if you do something, baby, I'm sorry, it's okay. No, player. That's why I tell you out here, that whole makeup thing, we still gonna have that conversation. We can go ahead and do this 45 minutes. We're gonna have this conversation. Because I ain't forgot. Because I'm not, I know people will say, even in my marriage film, man, you the stronger vessel. You should just let it go. I am completely sorry, ladies. I love you, queens. But you gonna understand that sometimes when you start pushing me in the corner, you basically told me I gotta protect myself. I gotta fend for me. I got to worry about my feelings because you don't give two, excuse my mouth, shits about what I'm saying to you. Or if I tell you that, look, I am struggling, or like Lil Wavy said, for you to say something like that come out your mouth, in my opinion, big. You done told me what it is. And you can say what you want to say, and women do it better than men. They always talk about, well, dudes greedy. Women playing their ex. That's one thing I will say men don't. They will stick around and play the game and play the game, play the game. But the whole time they are planning their ex. So when you leave, they ain't got nothing to feel. There's no emotions, there's no feelings, there's no nothing. So most dudes, so when you hear Beyonce say to the left, that was playing. As y'all said earlier, that was all in that head. She planned that for months and months. And when it got to that point and she was good to go, now you irreplaceable. I'm gonna holler at you, homeboy. Go get your stuff, call that cab. You outside running your mouth. She looking at you from the front door like, okay, you right. She sending you on your voicemail, blame it on me. Say it's my fault. That's that part when D talk about when you don't get to the point where you don't care. Look, she's playing that exit. So then so now when I hear females talk about it, about saying dudes greedy, nah, because when you get to acting stupid, I am Cassette Michelle. Blame it on me. Leave my key at the door. Say it's my fault. Your number's deleted out my phone. Look, it's all good. You just took what y'all doing. It's just like, look, bro. If I'm coming to you really trying to have this conversation, trying to see what we can do, and if you're right. I'm just like that pill. I'm about to be playing D. Watch what I do. Watch what I do. I set it up.
To be honest with y'all, after that conversation, I was just like, oh, wow.
See that mirror pop? That's what we doing? Got it. Let's run.
Now, granted, and I will say this again, I did not possess the same level of maturity that I do now back then. So I'm pretty sure we probably didn't talk for like the next 3 or 4 weeks, and we was real stupid, and that was and I own that part because that we shouldn't have done that. But I just couldn't fathom the part that my ex-husband stood in my face and said, either you get on this train or get left.
Wow. Wow. That's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, and again, please understand, y'all, nobody's excusing anybody's action, especially not mine. I'm not excusing my action. I can tell you things that led up to it, but D hit it right on the money. And as they say, God gives you favor. He gave me favor and chances to redeem myself, to change it. And we cool in things. Like we can talk, and I really want to know what's going on in your world. Times before you talk, I don't care. I didn't. I was like, oh, okay, appreciate it. So yeah. So, but you have to take accountable. Like, I experienced some grief that day. Now I'm gonna tell y'all where I got this from, right? Because I was watching Insecure, and there was a segment on there. Go back and watch it. I think it's the first season when she cheated on Lawrence. Just see her reaction as she left old boy house, drove to the house, pulled up, and was just like, "Oh my God, what did I just do?" And then to see his reaction. But then if you watch the rest of the season, it was a mistake on her part. She admits it to all the dudes that she ended up speaking to. Eventually they get back together and they work through it. And my thing is, as the way we said earlier, leave ain't always the answer, bro. You can't leave. You can't leave where your heart is really is where your heart really is. We always say you want to find the true heart of a man, or the treasure of a man. See where he spend his money. See where he spend his time. And yeah, I believe that is so true. And certain things, you know, we still work. And like D, he's a businessman, so am I, right?
Time out. Time out. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
You right, bro. Let me shut up. 2 minutes is what is when we said it's our time. We are definitely over. Those who are still on, I appreciate it. Look, have the conversation wherever you are, but we ain't our 2 minute mark. So Webby, give us your 2 minutes.
Who? Webby?
Webby, yeah.
Oh,
Webster. Like the stairs.
You look, you're cutting in and out, sir. Oh, okay. Here are my 2 minutes. Don't do that. So definitely we need to focus in a relationship. We definitely need to focus on communicating as well as comprehending. And if your person has the courage to express to you that they're struggling in the relationship as it relates to you and them, definitely have an open mind and be willing to listen so that the two of you can go and communicate so that nobody steps outside the relationship. I would like to believe nobody wakes up and just say, OMG, let me pull up the Rolodex and see who I'm about to call now. I don't think that happens like that. Because at first, you know, at the end of the day, they chose you. So
Jules, expensive piece of jewelry. She's better than rubies.
I like that. I'm gonna say, like, if you're feeling the need to cheat or feeling like you got some issues going on with your person in it, you don't like it. I think you need to start acknowledging those things, you know, self-reflect, you know, whether it's something that is internally with you or in how they're communicating with you, and express that. Allow them some grace to receive it and come back, make a plan, take action. That's my
thank you, Ruby. Mr. Poet that didn't know, always on point with it. Mr. D. Lou, my man.
Yeah, I actually lead this conversation just thinking about a couple things. One, I think in our culture we've just gotten too good at cutting people off that we don't know how to sustain them, and that concerns me. I've seen, you know, nobody's gonna be perfect in a relationship. Yeah, there are some things that we gotta, like, obviously we don't want to happen. But what I want to encourage is don't allow your fear of being hurt again, because a lot of it is sometimes it's not the fear of being hurt, right? It's the fear of being hurt again that causes us to feel the need to protect ourselves the best way. And a lot of times when we're protecting ourselves, we're on the defense. We're not on the offense. We're not trying to preserve anything. A lot of times we're on the defense, right? We're trying to ensure that this hurtful moment doesn't happen again. Or we're trying to ensure that this person is not like the last. And it comes back to those 3 S's: safety, security, and stability. Like anytime any one of those is threatened in a relationship, the relationship is challenged, right? How do we get back to safety, security, and stability? Can that happen after a person has stepped out? That's really up to the two people, right? And the decisions that they make to forgive, not only to forgive and forget on the person, not forgive and forget, but just forgive and move forward, right? And to repent and let that go and move on. Like, you know what I mean? So all in all, I just concur with everything that's already been said. But I do leave this conversation saying, God, like, I just hope and pray that we have like everybody can meet someone that they can sustain something with, right? That they can they can feel safe to be vulnerable with, that they can feel safe to be insecure, that even when they at odds, a hug can heal, or just coming up grabbing you can heal it. Like, you know. Yeah, that's my 2 cents today. Yeah, we're all tempted. We all tempted by our own selfish desires, right? So yeah, just got to stay the course.
You know, when I tell you I love my people, they so poetic. Look, I only got two. It's a mantra. It's not 2 minutes. It's a short minute. Faith and fear cannot dwell in the same place. So either you're gonna be faithful and step out and take that risk, or you continue living in fear and your insecurities and keep sabotaging your relationships and keep blaming somebody else when it's really you because you don't want to step out on faith. Man, this is how we do it, man. 28, man. Every Monday, school will be in, so we might have adjust schedules, but we will definitely let you know. We definitely appreciate everybody joining in. See, Mr. DJ Black Ice, BG, and the rest of the people that I cannot see. We definitely appreciate you always being on the show, being informed, and we hope we spark the conversation for you to have. Look, let me tell you something. It's funny. Like my aunt last week, like at my grandmother's house, when I tell you that'd be the post show, like we literally talk about whatever we talk about in my grandmother's house. Like, but it's cool to get different generations all in the same room. Cousins, me, my grandmother. I love it. I love it. And that's what we grew up on. We grew up with conversation, which is one reason why I started the show. Because I think at the big table, there was conversations. And it was always said, don't bring your feelings out here because they might get hurt. But we're going to tell you what a TI is. And that's what it is. Now you can go back and readjust it, think about it, filter, take what you heard. If not, filter it out, throw it away. But it is what it is. So I definitely appreciate my upbringing for that. Take us out. Really brief, bro.
All right, real quick. All right. In prayer, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I'm still processing this conversation in a lot of ways. But yeah, this is interesting. Y'all got me going tonight. All right, thank you, Heavenly Father, for gracing us to have this conversation. God, I pray your word over us as 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13 points out that no trial has overtaken you that is not faced by others. And God, you are faithful. You will not let us be tried beyond what we're able to bear. But with the trial, you will also provide us a way out so that we can endure it. So God, allow us to see these way outs, not that we are counseling or cutting off relationships. Let us not be so good at that we can't sustain one. However, let us see the way out of things that are trying to tempt us away from true relationship with each other. Let us see it, let us discern it, let us follow the instruction and pay attention to it. Give us the eyes to be able to recognize the areas where we fall short so that we not only can be in the best relationship with each other, but we can also be in a relationship closer with you. We thank you for your son, Jesus, who died on the cross for our sins and gave us this opportunity and the freedom to come to you face to face. So, Father, we thank you so much, and we honor your presence in this call. We honor every voice on this call and every ear that will be listening. Your word says that faith comes by hearing and hearing the word of God. So we thank you so much for your word. Until we all meet again, please forgive us for our sins and help us be better than we were the last time we all met. It's in your son, Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Think big, believe in God because he believes in us. You know my mantra, I said it a while ago, faith and fear cannot dwell in the same place. And while you're on this side, till you get to the other side, please do everything you can to love, live, and laugh. We'll see you next Monday right here on the full 180. I'm going to leave you with a brand new album I want you to get. Salvation. Mr. Trey Daniels. When I tell you this brother can blow, you hear me? He can blow. This is his new album called Favorite. New single. It's on YouTube. But I'm gonna play this song I kind of like now. It's called New Thing. Why? Because this right here, I believe we just started a new thing for somebody. We'll see you on the other side. Have a great week. Next time on Full My Name.
God is doing a new thing. A new thing. God is doing a new thing in me. God is doing a new thing. A new thing. God is doing a new thing in me.
Yeah. So
I've been meaning.